Hello and welcome to a review show of the Parador Lodge Intermediate Club Championship, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dundrum coach, trainer, dog's body, Mark Fitzsimmons. Mark, thanks very much for jumping on the call. I appreciate it. I know how busy you are now, getting ready for your own championship, and we discussed it in the earlier programme, but really appreciate your time here.
No worries, John. Good to be on. Big fan of the show.
Oh, that's great. So you know that everything you say now is going to be scrutinised to the nth degree, and the abuse you get online and text messages and
big time knowledge is power, isn't
it? It is indeed. But how's your own preparations been? Leading up to the championship. I know you just had a COVID case in that earlier in the year. It must have affected the club as a whole.
Yeah, we're one of the clubs across the island that were affected with a positive case, and it was new territory for us, dealing with the PHA and all. But a lot of our senior team had to isolate from that, and I see Gordon Mona today and Antrim had to do the same. Yeah. Different clubs obviously get different advice from the PHA, but it did now. Those 2 weeks out of commission really, had an effect on the whole club. But it was great that I was down there tonight, and our under 13s back in action against RGU down at our pitch. So we're back up and running again, but there's no way about it. You just had to follow their advice, stick with it, and then go through the guidelines as best you can.
No, it's brilliant to see you're back up and running again.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably the right man to talk to. The people are asking me, what happens now if club is affected and they do have to, maybe one of the players has tested positive. What's the process that happens there then?
Yeah, well, basically what happens, if you get a positive case in the club has to act on PHA's contact, as the public health authority, and then they have to deem if the player's not or a close or a casual contact, and if they're close contact, you had to do what we did, go into test and then isolation. Whereas for your casual contact, you can get up and running pretty quick. I know they've been there. They were up and running within a couple of days again after their positive case. So it's all about that casual, close sort of contact. And whatever way the PHA deem it, you then have to go with their guidelines from that. But unfortunately, we were deemed close, and that would put us out of action.
Mm-hmm. Has the county board been in contact then, for procedures to be in place then? If it does happen during championship time?
Yeah, I'm thinking CCC put out revised guidelines, and basically if there's a positive case within a club and testing's required or whatever, that say if somebody get positively tested on a Friday and they're associated with the club, the club have 72 hours to play their game. So they'll say it's a championship game on a Friday, they've 72 hours to play that. If they're deemed the close contact and they can't play it in 70 hours, they have to actually forfeit the game. So that's in bylaw now and down. So if 72 hours from within that positive case been declared, and if you can't play that game, then you have to forfeit.
Well, hopefully that's not the case, and we wish everyone's safe and well, and we do get to play these championship games, because it has been brilliant. I'm not going to lie, getting back to the League 4 games and seeing the boys playing again, it's been brilliant.
Yeah.
So we'll jump right into it then, and we'll start with it. We'll go chronologically with the first one on Thursday then. It's, I suppose, a derby in many ways, Dromara versus St John's. It's in Ballykinler. Good to see games back at Ballykinler. I always like that pitch. Mark, how would you see this one playing out, and who's going to be the main for it?
Yeah, Dromara St John's, who's geographically it is a derby game. We actually played Dromara Division 4, relegated last year. So They're playing out of Division 4. We played them there just before our lockdown. Jamara would have been usually an older age profile team, but a lot of good young players now. One player particularly, he would have come up through the down underage setup, and actually he made the Ulster under 17 elite squad before an injury. It's Brendan McKay.
Right.
Now I'm seriously impressed by him the past couple of seasons. He's a wing back, ferocious pace, and he's a very impressive young fella, and he's probably their main man as such. Jamar around midfield, got Brendan McNeil and Pacho Drake, two big physical lads. McNeil can get a score as well. And two of their forwards now, they might be big in physical stature, but the likes of young Luke Savage is a tricky player, and he's a good playmaker as well. But one boy that particularly stood out for me was Paul Flynn. Now, Paul Flynn lying out of corner forward, and he's an eye for scoring. He's been putting up some scores in Jamara's games to date. But they are a new look Dramara team, and Gary Farrell's probably got youth there to work with.
Yeah.
But look, there's two divisions separating them and St John's, and that's going to be a big gulf for Dramara to close on. St John's, that team, I was looking at their starting 15 of late, and that basically starting 15 has probably been their starting 15, most of it for the guts of the past 6-7 years. So you're kind of thinking if St John's is going to do anything in the intermediate championship, it's going to be either this year or they might have many years left with this particular team. But looking at them, they've got Andrew Gilmore there now, and you would have been looking through the Irish Newsnet over the past few years, the scores he was putting up for St Coleman's Newry, next Cornanog and Ranafast, and that's a serious player for them in there now, and he's up there along with like Marty Keenan, who's another score getter as such. But I would just think St John's will have too much physicality. They'll have too much nous about them. Their experience playing in that championship, and again, I generally think with their age profile, they will be looking. It's going to be now or never, with that team. But I think a big bonus too, John Clark staying on. Yeah, it's going to help him hugely.
But John's playing around the 45, but maybe a fact that might derail him is Conor Morgan suffered an injury recently.
Yeah.
Talking to people, he's a very influential player from defence to attack for them.
Yeah. Conor Morgan as well is brilliant from set pieces. He's real good free kick taker, and he used to play around centre half forward and pulling the strings, and he also had a scoring ability, but he'll be a big miss. You get the likes there, Chris McKay maybe not starting a few games. Maybe Chris McKay brought in from the start now, brother Danny in around midfield, and defensively as well, they'll not give much away against that Dramara attack. I think Dramara maybe limited in a couple of options in their attack, so you'd imagine this is John's defence, so the likes of Harry McMullen, come on the three there, young Mark Grant. I don't think Dramara will get much change out of St John's defence. Definitely, the two division gulf will probably be the difference there.
And in Division 4, Mark, is there, St John's are known for being well organised, well drilled, and playing a counter-attacking style. In Division 4, will Jamara have come up against that, style, to have maybe get a feel for what they're coming up against?
Not really, to be honest. Games in Division 4, generally, a team might play a sweeper, but they're generally a more open game.
Right.
Rarely at junior level will you see a real strong, organised defensive unit. St Paul's actually did it last year. Now they had a very good template last year, but generally not. It's more open in Division 4. Bar maybe the odd sweeper here and there, but Dramara, if they do come up against an organised St John's rear guard, I feel it will be very difficult for them to break down, because probably not used to it, down at that junior level,
Yeah. I'm going to ask you for a prediction then, Mark, and a man of the match. Who you can see a potential match winner here?
I think St John's will take this. Dramara might be able to be competitive for patches, but if young Andrew Gilmore's in form, I think he could have a field day. He'd be the potential match winner, I would think.
Brilliant, Mark. So there you are, folks. St John's being tipped there at the first one. Then we head across to Newcastle then, and Shamrocks are up against Donegal, and I seen today in the newspaper that I think it was the Newry Democrat, it's the draw Marty Rafferty didn't want because of Donegal's unpredictability. Probably on their day they can cause problems, especially the older players. There's some boys there who have many miles on the clock, but
Yeah.
they're still got that quality.
Yeah, there is, and I seen there in their last league game, Big Paul Trainer still playing at midfield, along with Jamie Donnan. But I tell you, a player, when we would have played Ali Call over the years, and I know he's been beset by injury problems, but Martin Trainer was as good a player at intermediate level on his day. And I know the past few years with the injuries and that maybe set him back a bit, but those Trainer boys, they're a big cog in Ali Call. But I'm looking there too, Ali Call, still Jamie Donnan around the middle, as I say, with Paul Trainer. Daniel Sloan up forward, that's supreme talent, and in there, Christopher Morgan still knocking about there. He knows where the posts are. Ali Call are unpredictable, but looking at Shamrocks, what they've done these first 3 games, and then going back to last season they were basically a kick of the ball from winning that intermediate. The way they've been playing, they are an upward trajectory here, and I would think that they could do something in the championship going down the line, but they're probably playing at a level above Ali Call at the moment, judging on recent results. But there isn't an unpredictability with Ali Call, but I think it'll be a step too far against this Shamrocks team.
The Shamrocks have the 2 Goffs back. I think they were in Australia. Them boys played at a high standard growing up. And how hard do you think it's going to be them to integrate into the team, or is it just going to be seamless for them boys? And
I will suppose it could be difficult in the sense that that Shamrocks team that got to the final last year is obviously boys been staking their claim in that, and again the big numbers there the past couple of seasons Shamrocks. So I suppose it's a managerial decision. These Goffs, you bring them straight back in, not been part of the whole plan last year. So I think that's down to management, but difficult enough. Maybe coming in, get yourself back up to speed. Maybe after lying out in the beach somewhere in the southern hemisphere could be tricky enough.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but Shamrocks, looking at their team there, I remember it was in 2014. Down Miners were in an Ulster Championship game. I think 4 of the back 6 were Shamrocks players. So them boys now, like Mark Hart, Niall Rafferty, they're all in that senior team now. John McAteer, the father figure such in that team leading the line. Cahill Gorman's a deadly forward. Kevin Haggerty, those sort of boys are all now starting to gel, and confidence they've got last year from getting that final, pushing Glen so close. They look to be in a good place.
No, the Galvin and Marty are, and maybe that year, I think it's their second year in. Would that be right? So they've got that experience of hitting, championship. They know how to maybe get a team ready for championship. But will the injury to Jordan Murphy derail him? He was playing at 11. I think he got a bad injury there at the last game.
Yeah, I've seen his name mentioned. I don't think it'll have a massive impact. I know he's one of probably their top players. I don't think it'll have a massive impact in such that they do have serious length and depth there. And I think with that squad to have, he will be able, somebody will be able to rejig back in position. Yes, it'll have an effect, obviously, but not a huge effect. Not enough for Ali Call to be able to turn the tide.
Yeah. Did you get to the final last year, the intermediate?
I did indeed, yes.
But what style is Shamrocks going for? And do you think that it was just a one step too far for them last year?
Yeah, so I suppose everybody's their different views, but I thought it was kind of like a Kilcoo prototype as such. A lot of off the shoulder, bit close fist passing off the shoulder, everything done 100-mile-an-hour pace. Lots of good, strong carrying forward from the back. There was that aspect to it that you see, Kilcoo have obviously perfected it, but I could see the kind of embryo of that there. And as well, they've got the players that can do it. The talent there and the youth and the pace that can do that. But that's what I thought. A good building from deep and a pace, of serious pace in that team as well. But I thought that experience they got last year in the final, that's going to be invaluable going forward here in this championship.
And it's the fact that there's no league either. Maybe they were fighting 2 fronts as well. It could have been this year, with a realistic chance of intermediate success, and they obviously want to be playing Division 1 football.
Yeah. Well, that's it. The focus there. They've got the championship there. They've 3 or 4 good games under their belt there, albeit Division 3, but it means now they can look forward now and plan out and get over Ali Call in a few weeks there. But they're a team that'll just keep building and building momentum, and because of so much strength and depth and talent there, they'll not be far away, I doubt, you know.
Like, man of the match and call the victory.
I'm gonna go Shamrocks, and if they click, they could really open that call up. In terms of man of the match, Niall Rafferty, there's a player there. That's a box-to-box player who's supremely talented, and I would be looking at him, keep an eye out for him, and even down the line, he's potentially even county material there too.
Yeah. No, first name that I've heard, so we'll be looking out for now. That's Thursday night. Friday night, then we have one fixture, and it's in Dundrum, and it's Anaclone against Bright. Bright making a step up from winning the junior last year. A tough test against an old seasoned veteran team in Anaclone. You know, Bright, how are they gonna, you know, once make the step up?
Yeah, well, I have to say, I think a lot of neutrals were delighted last year they won that junior.
Yeah.
You know, they had lost 5 or 6 junior finals, and to finally win one was great for them. But they've been building at underage level the past few years with a couple of good under 14 and 16 teams, and that's filtered in now their senior team. Looking at them now, going up against Anaclone, and Anaclone are their seasoned senior championship team, recently intermediate, still bags of experience, bit of youth injected now. Bright, there's probably going to be a gulf there in class, because Bright have played junior championship the best part of the past 15 years. Yeah. So they're up there. I personally think Bright, if they had been a proper league this year, Bright's ambition this year would have been get out of Division 4.
Right.
That would have been on top of their agenda, but obviously that was taken out of their hands with COVID. But definitely think that this could be a step too far for Bright this game, just not been used to a seasoned team like Anaclone.
Who's the main players for Bright? I was actually at the junior final last year, and you know, a couple of players. I think it's George.
Yeah,
it was very impressive.
Yeah, that's Gareth George. Gareth George actually is former Antrim minor. He was back 2013. He's actually a Donovan Rossa boy originally, right. And Antrim were up against Monaghan in the Ulster minor championship that year, and he scored a couple of goals against Monaghan. Now Monaghan ended up beating Antrim, but like, he's played at inter-county minor level, and around that time Rossa were in the Paul McGuire under 16, won a couple of games. I think they got the latter stages, and he was their main man. So, you know, you've got a player of that caliber knocking about for Bright, and especially when you're at junior level, he makes such a difference. But Gareth George is definitely, you know, I'm sure Anaclone have man pinpointed him and man marking, but he's serious pedigree, you know. Young old McAvoy transferred back to Bright, which is his home club from RGU. Sturdy enough boy. Young Sam Dinu, who I probably thought should have got man of the match in the junior final last year. He's operating in midfield with Declan Trainer. So they're probably a strong spine there at Bright. But it's just maybe a wee bit of inexperience in the flanks, and a couple of new, like young Cam Lurgeon would have been the down development squads. This is his first year senior. Yes. Great talent, but just maybe a bit of inexperience at Bright in terms of when they come up against the likes of an Anaclone.
The Anaclone then, Mark, they seem to be getting the older players back up to speed, but they still seem to be in that transition mode with trying to get the younger fellas. Now, we played them a couple of weeks ago. There's a number of fellas I didn't know. Obviously, this new generation coming through. Have you any idea who's the ones to keep an eye on there?
Yeah, others all started there a couple of weeks ago. So 3 young fellas, and so it was good to see Anaclone, because they had that perception over the years of being a team with an older age profile. But it's good to see that in, and see John Hoppy's made young Greening captain. So there is that sort of emphasis now on youth building into that team. But you're still the two McCardle. Like Gary McCardle, pound for pound, is one of the strongest midfielders at intermediate level. Randy McCardle is still county standard. You know, he's going to hold that defence together. And Kevin Anderson is playing as good as ever. So you've still that experience mixed with that youth. Whether it's enough to take them the whole way this year is debatable. But one thing I know John well from my uni days, and John Hockey, you know, bleeds Anaclone, and I'm sure he will have this Anaclone team so well prepared going into this championship. He knows what it is to get the championship finals. He knows what it takes to win championship. So I'd imagine they'd be very, very well prepared for this championship.
So you can only see one winner then, and maybe a rude awakening for Bright.
Yeah, There's too much of a gulf there, and Bright, I think their priorities would lay in getting out of Division 4 this year, and Annaclone will have too much about them.
Who's going to be the match winner then, Mark, for Annaclone?
I would say if Annaclone can get a foothold in midfield, Gary McCardle can make the difference there in priming possession and setting the platform for the forwards.
Brilliant. So that's Friday night. Next one up is the Saturday encounter in Hilltown, and it's probably the tie of the round. I definitely couldn't wait to see it. Obviously, I get to see it now with the restrictions, but Leitrim against Saville, two teams that were playing Division 2 football last year, and of course the first names out of the hat for the intermediate. Leitrim, first of all, Mark. How do you think?
Yeah, I would think their clubs probably took getting relegated to Division 3. That's probably hit the pride of a lot of Leitrim people. Mm-hmm. Leitrim, when I was growing up, were always that senior championship team, got themselves up to Division 1. They find themselves now in Division 3, and I would say the whole clubs probably took a hit. You know, that's probably had an impact on them. Again, if that league season had went proper, they definitely would have been looking to get back into 2. Saville similarly, like it must be near 25 years since Saville were in the 3rd tier, late 90s anyway, and Leitrim similar, at least 20 years since they've been down there. So these are two clubs unaccustomed to the 3rd tier. And Saville would have took a hell of a hit too. But definitely, a lot of people are touting Leitrim. From the outset here, Paddy Hardy's in them now, and I actually know Paddy well. Paddy managed Dundrum for 3 years, and from 2013 to 2015.
Right.
And one thing known about Paddy likes a really, really expansive style of play and fitness. You know, fitness. He loved his team's been fit and playing a really forward-thinking way. And Leitrim actually have the players to play that way.
Yeah.
You know, there's some of those young second hands. You think of the McCrickers, the trio McCrickers. You know, you've Liam Middleton there in midfield, good athletic midfielder, young PJ Davison. So the way Paddy likes to play is Leitrim have the players to play that system.
Yeah.
And Saville, looking at their team from this year to last year, there's boys have gone from that side from last year, boys maybe that were the wrong side of 30 as such. And Pat Havern hasn't had much action at all in this league programme. So they've been relying on the races, Dean and Keelan, to get the scores, and Philip Bedine, their full forward, has been their target man. But Niall Devner for years played wing half forward, corner forward. He's now sitting at centre half back for them. So there might be, it looks like maybe Saville are trying to plug holes here. Right. And the miss, Niall Bedine hasn't been about now in a couple of years, and that miss is huge for them.
Yeah. With Saville then, the changing of the guard maybe for Saville, you know, is Danny Hughes still playing? Has he been about this year? Is Keenan Rice then, you know, coming back, been a major boost for him as well?
Yeah, funny. Looking there, just at their Saville played Oculus Finn the other week. Now Danny Hughes' name wasn't mentioned on the panel, but you know, if you want to spring a surprise in the championship, Danny Hughes returned to action with Quirley. You know, Quirley put the shivers up some teams, but I don't know, I can't see it. You know, Danny refers to in his Irish News article about retirement and all that, but it would be a wild card if he did come back.
Well,
and I would think
it'd be some crack if Liam Doyle was laying out for Leitrim and Danny Hughes, and the two of them were marking each other, wouldn't it?
Did you watch? Stranger things have happened. You know, you'd love to see Liam Doyle back there from one last shot, but I can't see it. But here, who knows? Who knows?
With Saville then, they've got nothing to lose then for coming into Leitrim. Then, if you say if there is a change in, you know, maybe then they can play with a wee bit more freedom, or do you think Leitrim's just going to be that wee bit too much stronger now, especially with the results Leitrim are getting?
I wouldn't totally discount Saville now. There's still plenty about them, I think. I wouldn't put them out of the picture just yet. I believe that'll actually be a tight enough game. I would imagine Saville will really up it there. That'll be a tight contest, but just the scores Leitrim have been putting up would make you think that they've a real potent attack. And I would fancy them to edge the game, but I wouldn't rule out Savin, or I wouldn't rule out Savin in the back door if they
Yeah,
do lose the game down the line. There's still plenty about, they were in that second tier. It wasn't so long ago they were Division 1 team, so there's still
yeah.
a lot of craft there. So I wouldn't totally discount Savin.
No, they've definitely got the talent. Saville, even underage. I think it was. I'm trying to think now. I think it was 6 years ago. The minor team we had them came up against Saville, just coming up against them in South Down finals and that there, and they're very very talented then. And Leitrim, as you say, the amount of under 21s minors players now they're coming through. Everyone rhymes off the McCrickards and that there, and it's about clicking, and Pierce Oak back as well.
Yeah. Young Mark Owens there been getting on the score sheet. Another young player in there as well. Yeah. Robbie O'Hare still there. So they've plenty of options there. Injuries were obviously a big part of their issue last year, but with less of those injuries in place this year, they're well placed.
Is hurling a factor this time, Mark, or is it starting up later this year? Because that could be a major boost for them as well.
Yeah, hurling, I suppose Leitrim being a dual club, they do have that crossover. But it seems to be, in recent times, there's just not as many footballers playing the hurling in Leitrim. And there just doesn't seem to be as high a percentage as boys that were doing that. And that's probably going to help the football cause more. But used to be, you might have seen nearly 2/3 of a hurling team were football boys. But the numbers just don't seem to be as high as that anymore. But definitely, even at club level now, juggling both them, and even for a higher level, something has to give, especially now with the modern demands. But I think it's great that players that can keep both going. But if you're really serious about what you're doing, you do nearly have to commit to one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Slot Neil boys would differ, but
yeah, look here. There's an exception. There's an exception to the rule. But yes, I can see your point there. But look, if you look across the board, there's not many at the top level. Two dual clubs doing what they're doing. It's phenomenal what they're doing.
No, I'm only messing with the Slot Neil. They're like a run like a professional club. You have to sort of play like an athlete, eat like an athlete, sleep like an athlete. It must be taxing on the body. Something shocking. Result and man of the match then, Mark.
Result. I believe Leitrim will take this. And if you're looking, probably Rory McCrickard. He's one of those players that when you watch, he always has an impact on the game. Any game you watch Rory McCrickard playing, he has an impact. Mm-hmm. So he's on his game. He'll be involved in a lot of the play. I would stick him out as the man to watch.
No, it's definitely a big future as well in down football. I would say Rory as well. Rolls Royce of a player. That's brilliant. Okay, we're going across then to Newcastle, and it is Anraict versus the Connacht. Again, there's a change in divisions. Anraict Division 2 and the Connacht in Division 3. Anraict highly fancied as well as Leitrim for the intermediate, Mark. And do you think there's substance to that?
Yeah, I would have Anraict as my favourites. I would. Looking at the side they've been able to put out in these first few league games, again, it's that thing. It's the talent mixed with the strength and depth. And look there, even from the back, you've Conor Doyle there at the back, you've Paul Allen as a linchpin. In the midfield, James Colgan, I suppose in the autumn of his career now, but playing great stuff around the middle with James Cunningham. But it's an Enrique's forward line, and especially at the intermediate level, what they have in that forward line. It seems Ronan Campbell has just come on the scene now, and from free taking, he scored 1-8 the other week, 8 frees. But Kevin Campbell is a similar. He's got a few chances in there. Again, serious scoring power. Throw in the likes of Rory Cunningham, who's deadly, always gets you a goal. Yeah. Connor Clark's in the mix now. Like when you look at their 15, serious strength across from 1 to 15.
You're scaring me now. You've even left out Declan Doyle and Ronan McAlinden.
Two on to the mix, So and they've only six starting forward players, so there's going to be serious competition there. Plus Bernie Ruan's there. Bernie, you look at Bernie's record, 1 point. The likes of the minors, the 21s, 1 point seniors. Declan Musson has been around at inter-county level, so they're the two men guiding that ship. looks to me that they mean business. They really
Yeah.
do. I know there's been a lot of talk about them, but I generally do. That final defeat in 2016, the Breeder, will have knocked them, but they'd be wanting to get back. That's not so long ago, and a few of the boys still would have been involved. And I generally do believe they have so much talent there that they will go real close here.
Yeah. To Connacht then, their underage seems to be doing very well, Mark,
Yeah.
and I know it's a few years away yet for senior football, but how do you see the senior team progressing then, and how are they going to set up?
Yeah, I suppose in context, if you look at the Connacht, they have a brilliant pitch there now. They have a big, massive new clubhouse facility.
Right.
If you look at their underage, their past 4 or 5 years, under 12, under 14 level, the Connacht playing at A level now, at least down.
Yeah.
They're a club I would look out for down the line. Now, at the moment, it's maybe just a wee bit early for that filtering into the senior team as yet. The senior team done well to stay in 3 last year, but in terms of top end intermediate, they're miles off that at the moment. But down the line, I think you're going to see the Connacht as one of the emerging sides and down. I really do, if it's handled right. But I don't think they're going to have a wish here against the Kingdom. But they're still again, they're a team with a decent spine. You know, you've Andy McCartan there, who's kind of playing around 6. Midfield, you've Tony Davis, who's a good combatant player. And up front, he's one of the best forwards in Division 3, I think, is Paddy Grant. Now, Paddy Grant is good from play, he's good from set pieces, and you'll see he'll chip in, he'll be their main scoring threat. The only problem is Kieran Carroll, who's been a big mainstay of their team the past couple of years, he's a lot of injury problems at the moment, as does their former captain David Kelly.
Yeah.
So if they're going into playing rake without them, or into any championship campaign without them for a long stretch, it's going to make it very, very difficult for the Connacht.
No, and I know you're saying here the result then on Richt, and I suppose the man of the match then, is it going to be the defender, midfielder, or the forwards?
I think there'll be scores of plenty in this, particularly for Richt, and I will keep an eye on Roland Campbell.
Yeah, no, he seems to be a deadly free taker, so keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
All right, the Sunday match is Ronan McCartan's Saul against Paul Duffin's Ballymartin. The match Ronan didn't want. I think he started crying whenever he was telling me to get on the phone. Saul are playing Ballymartin, but we're in Mayo Bridge on a Sunday. How do you think this is going to go?
Yeah, this is intriguing on so many levels, you know. I suppose with Saul Mans or Ronan, been a Ballymartin diehard, and no doubt he will find it hard, difficult managing against his home club, because it was not so long ago he was involved with him. But look, he's in a Saul Manzer, you put all that aside, you're there for Saul's interest, so I think he'd be able to deal with that all right. But Ballymartin, if they had their full panel available, you know, they're going to be a much stronger off, and they're missing boys like Cahill Doyle, Ryan O'Hare, Ross Coynham, really, really integral players to their team. And as well, Paul and Kevin Duffin in there, they've only had a couple of games of these boys. They don't know them. They're only in this year, and they probably don't know them as much as they would like to know them. Whereas Ronan has this, well, bar the gap, there is his 3rd year with Saul, and he knows him so well. And you can really see Saul now have really developed a real distinct philosophy of play as such. And Saul, I believe, in this game, without trying to put the pressure on you, but
already broke on me.
Yeah, I think Saul are coming of age. I really do. And you know, Dundrum over the years, 10 years, whatever, we used to have a good rivalry with Saul and all, and we've been nasty enough out rivalry, but now they've just shut up, and it's down to like their underage system the past 10 years has brought them to where they are now, and a lot of credit to the likes of Eddie Harney, who's still involved. Just Saul really did get their underage sorted, and that's why they're in the position they are now. Staying up last year, that beating Sal was huge, because finally said, look, Saul now, we are a Division 2 team. But you look through that Saul team, from Jack Hazard in goals, Callum Fitzsimmons fullback, Pierce Lavery playing every blade of grass. You've Cahill Arnold in their midfield, Rory Mullen. Now, I prefer to see Cahill Arnold closer to goal, but still, you've a Rui O'Hare in there now. You've the Harney trio. There's so much talent through that team. You're playing this system. Are supremely physically fit. I just think in stage of development, Ballymartin just aren't there simply because of the new management in. They are missing these players and maybe, again, the age profile as well. But Ballymartin still, that's a proud club, Ballymartin. You've still no care there. Peter Fitzpatrick can still change games. Paul Quinn up front, a real lively forward. They have the ability to keep this a real contest for at least 3/4 of the game. I just think Saul will pull away at some stage in the second half, last quarter.
Yeah. And man of the match then, Mark?
I suppose a toss-up. If Rory O'Hare's on form, he can really steal the show with scoring, but it's Pierce Lavery with that county standard play he'll be the boy that I think he's on motoring and up and down that field and Lincoln play. You'll really see why he is a county player.
Yeah. No. Hope you're right.
You had a job next week.
No, the boys have done tremendous work underage. Philly Kinsella and Eddie Horney doesn't need any introduction to what he's doing for Saul football. So, I suppose the other match on the Sunday then, two teams that have aspirations for winning the intermediate as well, Mark, is Drumgaff against Panabana. We talked about fast forwards and that, and Drumgaff definitely have that.
Yep, I've experienced of playing against them a couple of years ago, and back about 2 years ago, they looked to be probably on average one of the youngest teams in the county for age profile, and they're full of pace, full of running. The two boys up top, the two Shays, McConnell and Byrne, Reggie Hill in there, Ryan McCusker coming off him, big Colin again in midfield. What a midfield player. So the youth on their side, they're Jackie Lindsay won an intermediate himself as a player in 2006. So again, another man that knows what it takes to win an intermediate championship. So from Gaff again, if they get themselves up to a higher level in the league, probably be a priority for them too. But they're worth a watch in this championship.
And the way they're set up then, Mark, what style of play have they got then? With as you said, the two boys up top probably give any defence nightmares.
Yeah, they're constant movement. They've got that bit of intuitiveness and craft. They're constantly moving, making diagonal runs, dummy runs. They're full of energy. They're fit. They've got that craft that imagine they really do have that, and they can get a score, and they know the goals are too. And with Jackie as well, the way he played with steel and a bit of aggression, and you see that in their defence. And if Mark Connolly, who is a veteran of that team, past near 2 decades, he's still knocking about. With that experience there with Mark Connolly as well, to gel all that together, I wouldn't be writing them off at all in this championship.
And Clonabana then, managerial change there from last year. How Banbridge down there, obviously they're hard to beat and that. They're going to Ballyhole now. How do you think then they're going to combat this Drumgaff team?
Yeah, Clonabana probably flattered to see in the intermediate championship in recent times, because you look at them and you're thinking, they could be a bet here, but haven't really come alive in the championship. They went close, maybe I remember they got to the semi-final 2011, maybe thought that was going to be the year, but they really have flattered to see. College Park, going there to play in the league is as tough a place as it is to going down. It's a real, anybody who's experienced going to College Park and Banbridge knows how hard it is, and that's why Banbridge has such a good home record. But going to Ballyhole now against some Gaff, defensively, Banbridge are going to have to be on their game against these Drumgaff forwards. They can compete at midfield, no bother. Looking at Banbridge's forward line now, it's got a bit of potency. Kieran Maguire line in their full forward, one of those perfect free takers. He actually played against Dundrum in the 2012 junior final for Parador. So he's on the edge of the square there. You've the Lanahans, Connor and Sean, with pace, direct players, Niall Scullion in there. So they've got the forwards. It's whether their defence can hold Drumgaff. That's what the question mark is.
And Liam Devlin's going to be a big player in midfield for Clonabana. Are you intrigued to see how he matches up then against the Drumgaff
Yeah, I was just wondering in regards to the likes of Michael McCaslin and goals, Maggie McGee, who was on the county panel a few years back, and Liam Devlin, who was too. Now, I seen there in a recent game, they were playing against the Finn, and none of those three boys featured.
Hmm.
So if Liam Devlin obviously is their feature, that's a huge, like, I'd love to see the battle between him and Colin McGinn. And again, if they had Maggie McGee available and Michael McCaslin, just adds so much to that team.
Yeah.
With Ronan McElhenney in there taking them, he's experienced managing teams around in Armagh. So he's probably given them a wee bit of something different this year. A wee bit of gusto. See the big numbers there. They're working with a big panel. Again, they've threatened for years not intermediate championship, but they've just never been able to really get to the final stage. But again, two teams that you just need to be worried of. Any team would need to be worried of from Gaff and the Bonner.
So result and player to watch then.
Yeah, I think from Gaff, if on their day they're playing the potential to take it. In terms of player to watch, Colin McComish actually for Drumgaff, that's a classy player. And when he's on fire, he's a form player. And when he's really on form, he can create and he can score. So if he is on his game, I would tip Drumgaff and for him to shine, Colin McComish.
Well, great stuff. We've got the Bosco against Tullalish. Now, Tullalish didn't have the best of years last year, and it must have really hurt them this year. Ronan McMahon's in with them now. How Bosco, to be honest with you, I'm not too sure how Bosco's set up, so it'll be intriguing to hear your thoughts here, Mark.
Yeah, looking at this is probably one of the most difficult ties to predict in this round. Tullalish coming down. Tullalish are probably the biggest yo-yo team between Division 2 and 3 in down over the past decade or so. They're a familiar territory now in Division 3, and they've a good manager in Ronan McMahon in. I see there John McAreevy still lining out full forward. You've still got Joe McDermott in there. Tullalish, they'll be looking to own and Niall Donnelly. Niall Donnelly playing at 6 recently for them.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of, looking at their team, there's a lot of new youth in the Tullalish setup now. A lot of the more experienced players have moved on. But coming in, them and Bosco, I think, could be a tight game. Bosco are physical. We actually played them in a pre-season friendly game this year. They're a physical side. But I don't like using the term, but I suppose the best describes it. They're a Newry side. And you talk about Ali Cobb and unpredictable. Bosco are one of the most unpredictable teams I know. And it depends what Bosco shows up. They still have Conal Gallagher. Now, Conal Gallagher was last year, the year before, was knocking about the county panel for a while. Oisin Carnegie's a handy player. Then you're still looking at big Brian Dillon, physical boy, can really mix it around the middle, along with big Declan Byrne. And then as well, Mark McTeer, those were the posts are as well. So they maybe don't have as many household names, Bosco's maybe they used to have, but their unpredictability makes them dangerous. Yeah. And that's a real hard one to call, Bosco. Tullalish, again, depending on what Bosco team turns up.
I'm going to push you on the result because who is going to be the match winner then and how is he going to do it, Mark? As you said, it's very close to call. What way is it to get an advantage over?
Yeah, I'm going to call here. I think Bosco will maybe save their best for championship, and Pierce Cahirdy's a loud man. Will might be angling towards that. He's in charge of them. I'm going to go Bosco to nick this, and Conal Gallagher's playing there, and he's that wee bit of county experience, and he's been a good nick up late. He would be the man if they're going to win that game. He'd be the vital cog there.
Brilliant. That's all the game's called then. Mark, the good news is that you're the new intermediate expert on loaded balls, so you're coming on again after we get the next straw as well. But whenever I was asking people about who I'm going to ask, it's a difficult one because people don't want to come on and that. But your knowledge is second to none, and thanks a million for your insight. And as I say, if you can get as much information about the games because you're coming on for the next one as well. But I'll be intrigued. what do you think of the standard of the intermediate? And I know you've said and Rick are your favourites there. You named 18 players for them. How the standard? What do you reckon?
I think the fact that in recent times, 1 Point and Rostrava got the Ulster Intermediate finals would suggest that intermediate football and down is up there in Ulster among the top 3 or 4. Now, juniors not, because the Ulster record would prove that. But looking now, I generally think across the board, down football is improving. Yeah. Like, I've obviously Dundrum have been junior the past few years now, and I can even see junior improving. Even strength and condition among junior players, organisation of teams, and at intermediate level, it's just improving across the board. It's a strong intermediate in the sense that if those couple of Division 2 teams, your St John's, who's gone close in previous years, and Rake, who are more accustomed usually to senior football, up and coming Saul, plus you've strong Division 3 teams in your Leitrim's and your Savills. So it's. And many people might say, right, and Rake's your standout team, but there'll be a couple other teams that will be confident having a say, especially your Leitrim's, Saul, and St John's. They're the 4 I'd be looking at there.
No, that is first class. I hope preparation's going well. What day is out? I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Yeah, Dundrum. We've East Belfast on Sunday at 4 o'clock on Friday.
Oh, that's brilliant. So the story continues. Just on the story of East Belfast, Mark, I suppose it's taken down football by storm, really, and maybe national news as well. Belfast now seems to be a real hotbed of talent for down football, and long may it continue.
Yeah, funny, I lived down there for 4 years in Ormer Road, and my local watering hole was the Parador, so that's where all the Breda boys drank. So I've got friendly with a lot of Breda boys, and see the buzz around clubs like Breda and Carryduff now. Like Breda and Carryduff, 2 of the biggest clubs in Ulster now, membership-wise, and there's serious buzz. You're walking down the Ormer Road in the evenings, and there's young boys walking around with the hurls and their Breda tops, young camogues heading over to Cherrydale. Just clubs like that are buzzing because there's such big numbers and support now. Great to see East Belfast going. East Belfast is an urban area that needs GAA. And I think I mentioned too in St Paul's. I generally think St Paul's are, for want of a better term, a sleeping giant. Mm-hmm. St Paul's have that whole demographic there in North Down, from Newtonards, Bangor, way out as far as Donegal. And if they can get structures right, St Paul's could be up there very soon with Breda and Carryduff. But on a wider context, I think Down really do need to look at their urban areas. You're down Patrick's, Palm Bridges, Newry's, Greater Belfast area, because if we are really strong in all those 4 or 5 urban areas, Newcastle even thrown into the mix too, it's only better for the betterment of down football. But definitely, it's great to see East Belfast up and going, and long may they continue and strive.
Well, not just for the next game, maybe.
I will forget about Sunday. Yeah.
Mark, all the best.
Yeah.
That was absolutely first class. As I say, I got great information that you're the man to talk to, and you definitely didn't disappoint. So we'll get you on and next week then, and we'll see how your prediction's done and for the upcoming games then.
Good man, John. All right.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.